No dates fixed for former Prime Minister's trial. Government agencies to have daycare centres by January next year. Good afternoon, I'm Jessica Lee. Welcome to News on 2. The Kuala Lumpur High Court did not fix any trial dates for the former Prime Minister Datuk Seri Najibtun Razak's case. This, according to the Attorney General's Chambers, AGC, in a statement released. The High Court actually only indicated, based on the calendar of the High Court judge, when the possible free dates for the trial could be. The AGC said trial dates in complex and document-heavy white-collar crimes were rarely fixed on the date of charge, which represented the first appearance by the parties in court, and the prosecution was not expected to serve documents on that day too. The relevant documents will be served on the defence before commencement of trial, as the prosecution team intends to apply to the High Court on August 8th for trial dates to be fixed in November this year. The AGC also said the so-called gag order issued by the High Court upon the oral application by Defence Counsel Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi Abdullah, which the prosecution team vigorously opposed, was only interim in nature. The statement further added a formal written application by the defence, supported by affidavits, stating the exact nature and extent of the gag order was fixed for hearing on August 8th, and the prosecution team would oppose that application. UMNO Sungai Besar Division Chief Datuk Seri Jamal Muhammad Yunus pleaded not guilty in the Ampang Magistrates Court yesterday to escaping from authorities and was denied bail. Magistrate Muhammad Firdaus Sadina Ali decided not to grant bail after hearing the arguments of Deputy Public Prosecutor DPP Fatin Hatni Khairuddin and Counsel Izzat Zabir Sharif, who represented Datuk Seri Jamal, and set July 30th for mention. Datuk Seri Jamal is accused of having escaped from the custody of police who had detained him lawfully over 3 cases, 2 under Section 448 of the Penal Code for house trespass and 1 under Section 290 of the Code for committing a public nuisance. The offence under Section 224 of the Penal Code was allegedly committed at the KPJ Ampang Putre Hospital between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. on May 25th. He faces a maximum of 2 years jail and a fine, or both, if convicted. The prosecution was led by Selangor Director of Prosecution Datuk Razali Ceani and also comprised Fatin Hatni and Mahathir Muhammad Khairuddin. The Sungai Besar UMNO Division Chief has since been transferred to the Sungai Buloh prison and will remain there until the case is brought up for mention. Riza Aziz, a stepson of former Prime Minister Datuk Seri Najibtun Razak, has completed giving his statement to the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC for the 3rd time at the MACC headquarters yesterday. Now, Riza, who was present to give his statements regarding the investigation on the One Malaysia Development Berhad, or 1MDB, had left the MACC headquarters at about 6:40 p.m. in a black-coloured Audi car. It is understood that Riza, who arrived at about 11 a.m., had given statements to the MACC officers at the interrogation room of the building. He's present again today at 10:30 a.m. to give his statement for the 4th time. Riza was called up to assist investigations regarding the 1MDB scandal, which was believed to have used hundreds of millions of the company's funds to produce a film titled The Wolf of Wall Street. MACC Chief Commissioner Datuk Seri Muhammad Shukri Abdul then confirmed that the Commission only recorded Riza's statement and there was no necessity to detain him for the moment. The Women, Family and Community Development Ministry is now working towards setting up child daycare centres in all government agencies, especially for parents working shifts by January the 1st, 2019. Its Deputy Minister, Hannah Yeoh, says that the ministry is also mulling over establishing a children's commission or an independent children's body which will report and make proposals to the Parliament. Speaking in Putrajaya, Yeo said that the establishment of the Children's Commission is needed to protect the nation's children, as they are the country's most important assets. She added that the proposed improvements would help curb incidences like what happened to 5-month-old Adam Raikal Muhammad Sufi from recurring, and his death would not be in vain.
Antara penambahbaikan yang sedang dipertimbangkan oleh kementerian ini adalah mengkaji keperluan penubuhan Suruhanjaya Kanak-Kanak atau Badan Bebas Kanak-Kanak yang akan melapor dan membuat cadangan kepada Parlimen. Saya akan berbincang dengan Yang Amat Berhormat Timbalan Perdana Menteri merangkap Menteri Pembangunan Wanita, Keluarga dan Masyarakat mengenai perkara ini.
Yeo hopes that the private sector will also establish these daycare centres in their offices, following which they will be entitled to a tax relief in accordance with the circular by the Inland Revenue Board dated February 15, 1996. Yeo added that Adam Raikal's case showed that there is room for improvement involving babysitters in 2 acts which are currently being used, namely the Child Act 2001, Act 611 to protect children, and the Child Care Centre Act 1984, Act 308, which is to monitor child care centre. Technical and Vocational Education and Training, or TVET graduates, should be given the same recognition as university graduates, as they are also among the main contributors to the country's development. In relation to this, TVET Empowerment Committee Chairman Nurul Izzah Anwar said a meeting will be held with the committee members, which involves 7 ministries, to discuss the salary issue for TVET graduates.
Tapi tentunya saya tidak menafikan ada masalah-masalah struktural yang jelas dari segi penggajian, dari segi kita punyai begitu banyak institusi di bawah kelolaan 7 kementerian. Ini bukan sesuatu yang mudah ya, untuk kita hadapi, dan tentunya akan wujud lacking economies of scale, dan mahu tidak mahu ada beberapa perkara yang harus kita robah, tapi buat 3 bulan pertama inilah yang saya akan lakukan secara berterusan.
Nurul Izzah hopes that the cooperation of all parties, especially TVET training institutes and industry players, could be combined to uplift TVET. She said this to reporters after a visit to Polytechnic Mersing in Johor. Now, the voting age or eligibility to vote in Malaysia should be lowered to 18 years compared to 21 years. Now, commenting further on this, Youth and Sports Minister Syed Saddiq Syed Abdul Rahman said his target is to enable the new voting age to be implemented ahead of the 15th general election. But first, it would be important to have a political exposure program for young people. The Youth and Sports Minister said he would discuss with Education Minister Dr. Mazli Malik on how exposure in relation to the democratic process could be applied at the school level. He said Malaysia should provide political exposure to students at the upper secondary level, as is done in several other countries. According to him, the Youth Parliament program is one of the examples of political exposure that can benefit young people, and such efforts should be strengthened with the involvement of more teenagers. Meanwhile, Syed Saddiq said efforts would be made to determine the maximum age to join a youth association is limited up to the age of 35 years only. The Communications and Multimedia Ministry, or KKMM, will review a guideline to help print and electronic medias in handling tough assignments such as court cases. Its Deputy Minister Edin Shazli Sheath said the guideline will help media practitioners to perform a good job. Edin said the establishment of the guideline will be discussed with KKMM Minister Gobind Singh Dio in regards to the guideline before any move is taken.
Kebebasan itu mesti digunakan dalam bentuk yang terkawal. Contohnya laporan dan rakaman yang dibuat itu bukan disebarkan atas maksud ataupun sifat yang provokasi yang boleh menyebabkan rasa kurang senang ataupun mewujudkan suasana ketidakstabilan politik. Jadi kita memberikan kebebasan, asalkan ianya digunakan dalam konteks yang betul dan sesuai.
Edin said this after attending the Hari Raya Aidilfitri Open House held at the Kuala Pilah District Council office in Negeri Sembilan. Two houses were completely destroyed after an early morning fire which left 13 villagers, including 4 children, stranded at Kampung Sharif Lahadatu, Sabah early this morning. Now, no casualties or injuries were reported in the 3 a.m. incident. Lahadatu Fire and Rescue Operation Officer Abu Bakar Taraji said that 9 firefighters and 2 fire engines were deployed to the scene after receiving the emergency call at 3:26 a.m. Upon arrival, firefighters discovered that the houses have been completely destroyed. Abu Bakar said that they managed to control the blaze after 1 hour. The cause of the fire and losses incurred is currently under investigation. 3 crude oil storage tanks owned by the Kemaman Bitumen Company, or KBC, at the Teluk Kalong industrial area burst into flames yesterday evening. Of the 3 tanks, 2 caught fire at 6:15 p.m. before it spread to the 3rd tank at about 9:30 p.m. The first tank, holding 4,800 litres of crude oil, had burst into flames with thick black smoke covering the airspace around the area, which could be spotted between 4 to 5 kilometres away. A while later, a 13,700-litre tank caught fire before the flames spread to the 3rd tank. Dozens of fire and rescue department vehicles and 23 personnel led by Operations Commander Kaisri Shahmi Ghazali from the Chukai, Kemaman, Kerteh, Kijal and Paka stations were mobilized to the scene to contain the blaze. Operational posts were through Minister of Finance Incorporated, or MOF Inc., has issued a services and operations suspension notice for 3 multi-billion ringgit projects: the Multi-Product Pipeline (MPP), the Trans-Sabah Gas Pipeline, or TSGP, and the East Coast Rail Link (ECRL) projects. Now, the instruction was made by Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad after seeking advice from the Attorney General. Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng said in a statement that the suspension, which takes effect until further notice, is solely directed towards the related contractors relating to the provisions mentioned in the agreements and not at a particular country. The MPP and TSGP project, with a total construction cost of 9.4 billion ringgit, were awarded to China Petroleum Pipeline Bureau on November 1st, 2016. Meanwhile, the construction of the ECRL railway line that stretches from Port Klang to Pengkalan Kubur, Kelantan, which will cost the government 81 billion, was given to China Petroleum Pipeline Bureau on November 1st, 2016. The sum includes land acquisition cost and loan interest during the project's construction. Contractors of 23 SIC projects that still fail to meet deadlines will see their contracts terminated, similar to the action taken against those involved in the Petra Jaya Hospital. Health Minister Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad said the stern action was necessary to warn problematic contractors and developers who were seen to be dragging their feet to complete the project on time.
Kami tidak boleh lagi menangguhkan bagi memberi isyarat kepada semua kontraktor bahawa kami tidak lagi boleh menerima kerja yang seburuk ini, kerana rakyat akhirnya akan menanggung segala kelewatannya.
The Health Minister said this after attending a health forum organised by the Asian Strategy and Leadership Institute, or ASLI, at the Federal Capital. Earlier, the Health Ministry was reported to be monitoring at least 23 SIC projects nationwide that were classified as SIC or red that were behind schedule for completion. About 395,000 low-income households in Johor will enjoy 10 cubic meters of water supply free of charge beginning September. Its Menteri Besar Dato' Osman Sapian said the decision to provide the free water was approved at the weekly meeting of the State Executive Council on Wednesday.
Perbelanjaan tambahan yang melibatkan soal memberi air percuma ini kepada rakyat negeri Johor bagi memenuhi akan salah satu daripada tawaran dalam manifesto Pakatan Harapan Negeri pada pilihan raya yang ke-14 yang lepas, melibatkan perbelanjaan yang agak besar, iaitu lebih kurang 25 juta setahun.
He said this to reporters after attending an Aidilfitri open house of Kumpulan Prasarana Rakyat Johor at Iskandar Puteri, Johor. Meanwhile, Dato' Osman said in keeping with the current times, the Johor government will raise the cost of raw water to Singapore at a reasonable price. According to the water agreement between Malaysia and Singapore, which expires in 2061, Malaysia supplies Singapore with 250 million gallons of raw water daily at 3 cents per 1,000 gallons. Malaysia then repurchased a portion of the supply that had been treated at 50 cents per 1,000 gallons. The matter was discussed with Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad last week, but no consensus was reached. American companies based in Pulau Pinang will not be returning home despite the US presidential tax break offer and the change of government in Malaysia. US Ambassador to Malaysia Kamala Shirin Lagdir gave an assurance that her country's companies, especially those in the electronics and medical devices industries, will remain after the peaceful power transition from Barisan Nasional to Pakatan Harapan and the prosecution of former Prime Minister Datuk Seri Najib Tun Razak. She said Datuk Seri Najib's criminal and corruption court cases are unlikely to negatively affect US investors' confidence in Malaysia. She said that Pulau Pinang is an important location for so many American companies that have been based there for decades.
So Penang is important because we have so many U.S. firms that are here. Many of them have been here for decades. And we also have firms who have invested in Penang recently. This is mainly in the electronics industry, but also medical devices. So many of you know these firms. I could name many of them, but Intel has the largest employment in Penang. But we have First Solar, we have Motorola, we have medical device firms, which are newer. So there are many, many firms here. It has a huge impact on Malaysia's economy and employment. And I think also it is part of the global supply chain, so important sort of for global trade and for Malaysia's exports.
She said this on board the USNS Brunswick ship that was docked at Swettenham Pier. Lagdir said foremost on the minds of the US firms were how the new Pakatan Harapan federal government would affect their business operations. The USNS Brunswick ship is the first American ship to dock in the area since 2009. The Saudi Arabian embassy in Kuala Lumpur has confirmed that the Hajj quota for this year will remain at 30,200 pilgrims. Now, the embassy, in a statement, disputed a report carried by a news portal that Saudi Arabia had reduced the Hajj quota, calling it completely baseless. The embassy stated that 8,000 pilgrimage visas had been issued by the embassy in its ongoing work in receiving the passports of Malaysian pilgrims. It added that the necessary procedures were completed on the same day in coordination with the Malaysian Pilgrims Affairs authorities. The embassy added that the Saudi Arabian government was willing to do everything necessary to enable pilgrims to perform their duties. Datuk Lee Chong Wei cruised into the quarterfinals of the Indonesia Open in Jakarta on Thursday after beating Anders Antonsen of Denmark in straight sets, 21-12, 21-15. Datuk Lee Chong Wei looked to keep his chances of winning back-to-back World Tour titles alive as he faced Anders Antonsen of Denmark in the round of 16 of the Indonesia Open at the Istora Senayan Stadium on Thursday. The six-time former champion moved to establish a 9-6 lead before winning the first game 21-12. Antonsen battled hard in the second game and at one point led 15-14, but the veteran Chong Wei claimed the next 7 points in a row to wrap up a 2-0 victory. The number 7 seed will face Kantapon Wangcharan of Thailand for a place in the semi-finals. If he were to progress, it would be an astonishing 36th successive Super Series World Tour semi-finals for the former world. From us in our top story, government agencies to have daycare centres by January next year. Join us again at 7 this evening. I'm Jessica Lee. Thank you for watching.